It's time to stop searching for a guide on Unreal Engine C++ that doesn't actually teach you anything. Trust me, I've been there. We'll go small, adding custom components and making a custom jump system. I've had countless beginners get into programming, and this is a quick and simple guide on how to start. First of all, you're going to want to create a blank C++ project. You're going to want to learn how Unreal Engine works, and you're going to want to learn basic C++. I also recommend learning Blueprint. Before you do anything, we're going to want to click these three dots here. Live coding needs to be enabled. Click settings and reinstancing this here, it needs to be disabled, and you're going to want to close Unreal Engine. You're going to right click the project name under games, and here you're going to want to go down to set a starter project. You're going to select development editor, Windows 64, your project name, and you can click this start without debugging or with debugging. I think this is better just because it's less cluttered. Just click that, and you can see in the output log it'll start building, and we've built one succeeded. It might take time depending on your PC, and the first time is always the slowest. And here we have our Unreal Engine project. We're going to create our first C++ file by going tools and use C++ class. And we have all these common classes here, and we also have all of these classes. We go search for actor. We can see there's a hierarchy. Actor is a child of object, and camera actor is a child of camera. We go through all of this, you'll eventually see character. So character derives from pawn, pawn derives from actor. I don't think derives is the right word. We're just going to create a character. So we're creating a class which is a child of character. Going to call it player character, and we can select a folder. You can click here, or we can just type in a new folder name called player and create a class. And this will take a while. It always depends on the speed of your PC. If you're going to commit to Unreal Engine C++, buying a fast SSD is great. This is the live coding thing. You can see we can compile using Ctrl-Alt F11. I don't really do that. I always compile in Visual Studio, so I'm just going to close this to get it out of my way. You can see we have this pop-up. This is because Visual Studio has detected changes. I'm going to reload everything. And now under here we have a source folder. This is where all of our C++ files are. We can see our project name. We expand that. We can see in the player folder we have created. We have the player CPP player H. We open up that, and we already have a whole bunch of errors. That's because this include file is player character.h, as you can see, player character, but it doesn't take into account our project name. And we can do two things. We can do the project name, which is the basics I chose, and I'll get rid of the O's in a second once it compiles, or we can delete that and just do two different dots, and I'll automatically get a file beforehand. Here we have our header file and a C++ file. It both has this copyright notice. I'm just going to delete. I'm going to save both. I'm going to go over what the header and C++ file means in a second. But we're going to create a blueprint subclass. So right now, player character is a child of the character class, and we're going to create a blueprint which would be a child of player character. So new folder, player, blueprint class. And we have all of these options. We picked character for C++, but if we search here, player character, we're not going to get anything. But it exists. See, you can see in the folders, it exists. But we need to compile again. So close Unreal Engine and compile once again. And now Unreal Engine will scan for changes. It'll detect a new class. You can see that there's a lot of hierarchy. It's not as complex. It's a lot better than like coding in, for example, Unity. For Unity, if you want to have different enemies, you'll have to code multiple different scripts. Whereas in Unreal Engine, you can create an enemy class, and you can create children of that class, and you can have multiple different enemy types just from one script. So right click blueprint class, and now if we search for our player character, we can see we have this, which is from character, and which is a whole bunch of children and the root is just object. Select player character, name it, I'm going to call it blueprint player character, and we can open that up. Here we have our blueprint version, and if you look at this menu here and these two tabs here, they are both exactly the same, except one is a menu and one is two different programming files. So to break it down, everything in the left side, which is my blueprint and components, everything here is in the header file. What I mean by this, we can see my blueprint as event begin player, event tick. In here we have begin player, tick, and we have setup player input component. We also have all these components, and if we want to create a component, it's quite simple. Over here is all the default values, and if you want to change the default value, you'll go in the CPP file and change it in the constructor. You can also do everything in here, the construction script inside here. And as you can see, if you go in event graph, we have, I'm going to delete this one, with begin player and we have tick. We have begin player and we have tick. So let's do something. Let's do jumping. We can delete these two. We're going to do it in blueprint very quickly. Git input space, and on paste it will call jump. So this calls a function called jump, and we're also going to play a sound. 2D, we don't have a sound right now. These are all editor sounds, so let's just find a random sound effect that I have saved and just drag and drop it, and this will have it, and we can search jump. That'll be our jump sound effect. So now we also need to do one more thing. We need to create a blueprint class, game mode base. I'm going to call it default GMB. Open it up. The default pawn class will be BP player character, not the C++ one, the blueprint one. Compile, save, and in world settings, I'm going to select the default game mode base. If we press play, you can see now we have jumping. But how do we do this in C++? We're going to go into file, no, it's edit, project settings, and find input. I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom here. And we're going to create an action mapping called jump. You can see that these are deprecated and use enhanced input, but now it'll take far too long to set up as a complete beginner. So we're going to use the old version since it's easier. Hopefully in the future Unreal Engine will make it easier to set up enhanced input in C++. So just click this thing, press spacebar, and that's our input. So now we're going here, and inside our setup player input, this is where we set up our input to call a function. We're going to do input component and then an arrow. Input component is the variable we have here. Oh wait, no, it's player input component. So player input component is the variable we have here at the top. So we're going to call that, and we're going to call bind action. And this is a variable that will get the action name, which is here, and then we'll call a function that you choose. So we're going to do bind action, and we called it jump. So make sure it's the exact same as the name here. It's called jump. We're going to do IE and then pressed. We're going to call this, which is meaning we're going to affect this class, which is player character class. And we're going to call a function with an and sign, the name of the function and the function name. No, the name of the class and the function name. We don't have any functions now that are for jumping. So onto here, do protected. This basically means it's not callable from other classes. For example, an enemy can't make us jump, only we can make us jump. So jump and two colons. Not colons, brackets, and we put void at the start. We have a green line. Just press Ctrl dot and quick definition of jump by pressing enter. So now we can just copy paste this here, paste it in. We don't need the two brackets. So now when we press jump, it will call the function. So that's part one done. So we've done the input, delete that. Now I need to call a function and call a sign. To call the function, it's really simple. We created the player character from a character class. The character class is called a character. And we're looking to call a function from a character. To do this, 2 colons. And then we have all these options that we can choose from. We just want to call it jump, because we can see here it's jump and the target is character. So the target is character and the function is called jump. So now we can jump, but how do we call it assigned? Well, we have a function called playAssigned2D. Let's say, for example, you're brand new to programming, you haven't seen any tutorials and you want to know what this is in C++. Well, as a programmer, you're going to have to learn how to Google. So let's go, for example, call assigned2D Unreal C++, and we can see we have playAssigned2D here. Click onto that. And if we go here, playAssigned2D is the name, so this is the function we're looking for. Now I might be confused, what does all of this mean? This is the function we're going to call, this is the class we're calling it from, this is the function name, and we also have this thing called an include file, because without this include file, the script cannot access this class. So if we go in here, up here, we're going to add a new include file, and it was kismet, and then new folder gameplay statics.h, and then we're going to use gameplay statics playAssigned2D. And if you have the 2 brackets, we have a whole bunch of requirements we need to type in. We can also go down here, we can see the requirements here. We can see it requires a world context object, it requires assigned, and we have volume, pitch, start time, and all of these things. These things down here don't matter, we just need assigned and a world context object. World context object is always get world. And now I have assigned, which is usigned base. We don't have assigned yet, so inside our header file, I'm going to create a usigned base. I create an asterisk. I'm going to call this jump assigned. Now in here, we can just press or type jump assigned, and that's how you call assigned. Now we need to set this as a value, and we don't want to do it inside the constructor or inside begin play or anywhere. We want to call it in the editor at the details panel. To do this, do property and edit anywhere, save, and now allow us to edit it in here. So I'm going to delete that. Compile, save, close everything and compile. We go into our player blueprint and we search jump assigned. We can see we can edit this here because we picked edit anywhere. I'm going to search our jump. Compile, save, and play. And we have the exact same thing we just did in Blueprint, except you done it in C++. I said we do one more thing, and we add a custom camera component. So in here, underneath protected, I'm going to go under here. Actually, I'm just going to do it at the top, protected, class, new camera component, camera, and you might be wondering, how am I supposed to know this? Well, once again, as a programmer, you're going to have to learn how to Google. So you do camera component on the C++, and see, we have a uCamera component. So here it's uCamera component, so we have to type class since it's a component, the variable name, asterisk after the variable, and whatever you want to call it. Inside here, you're going to want to do camera, create equals, not an arrow, equals, create default sub object, and inside triangle brackets, we're going to want to do same class name as here, the camera component, paste that in, and over here, we want to call it camera, and that's just the name you're going to give it, and then under here, camera, setup, attachment, and you can see we have an error. That's because we don't have the include file here. You can copy paste that, Enter here, we have setup attachment and root component. Compile. We now have our camera, which we created in Blueprint. We don't see it in the details panel because we didn't give it permission. To do this, you do new property, and last time we did edit anywhere, but we just want to make it visible anywhere. And we also want to do it Blueprint read write, and this is just in case you want to edit anything in Blueprint. So compile. We can see we have our camera. We can now move it about, move it up to the head level, and we can drag it inside Blueprint because we've enabled Blueprint read write. And that's all for the tutorial, and that's all we need. And that's the bare basics of Unreal Engine. This is done really quick. If my YouTube tutorials helped, I'm creating a course that'll go above and beyond that, improving your skills no matter what your current level of experience is. This course will go in much more detail, have much more content, and even higher quality videos, allowing you to skip tutorial hell. The release date for this course will be announced very soon.